The sky was quiet, utterly, deafeningly quiet. It was just another day, one of billions just like it that had come and gone. People went about their lives, heads down, focused on the small things: coffee, commutes, deadlines. No one expected anything. Why would they? The universe had been silent for as long as anyone could remember. Then, a sound began. It wasn't loud at first. It was a low, deep rumble that you felt more than you heard. It vibrated through the soles of your shoes, up your spine. It was like the clouds themselves were clearing their throats. Instinctively, necks craned upward. One by one, then in droves, people stopped and looked up. High above, breaching the soft blanket of white and blue, huge shapes emerged. They were not birds. They were not planes. They were ships. But that word felt too small, too simple. These were behemoths, gargantuan vessels of polished, shimmering metal that seemed to drink the sunlight. They were alive, moving with a grace that defied their impossible size. No one knew where they came from. No one had seen humans build anything even close to this before. Our most advanced rockets looked like children's toys in comparison. These ships floated slowly at first, a silent, majestic procession across the continents. Then, they accelerated, streaking across the sky as if they knew the entire world was watching, holding its collective breath. Far away, on distant worlds, alien civilizations saw them too. Through their advanced telescopes and sensors, they watched the sudden, shocking arrival. They whispered to each other in languages we couldn't comprehend, their voices laced with confusion and a new, unfamiliar fear. Who were these beings that could command the heavens so completely? Back on Earth, the world had ground to a halt. Children stopped their games in the parks, their laughter replaced by wide-eyed wonder. Soldiers in training camps lowered their rifles, their drills forgotten. In the halls of power, presidents and prime ministers stood silent, their prepared speeches and political squabbles rendered meaningless. The ships began to glow, a brilliant, electric blue that painted the clouds in hues of sapphire and cobalt. A soft hum filled the air, a resonant frequency that wasn't scary, but powerful. It felt like standing next to a sleeping giant, feeling the calm, steady rhythm of its breath. It was a sound of absolute, unquestionable authority. And then, from the largest ship, a single voice echoed across the planet. It wasn't a broadcast over radios or televisions. It was everywhere at once, in every mind, in every language. Earth, we protect you. A collective gasp swept across the globe. This wasn't just metal and machinery. This was a human creation, born in secret, now revealed in glory. It was a statement, a declaration to the cosmos. It was ready to change everything. No one knew what would happen next. No one knew what threats we were being protected from. But as humanity stared up at its new guardians, one thing was certain. The sky had already decided. We were not small. We were not weak. And our silence was officially over. The ships surged forward, their speed a silent tear in the fabric of space. Below them, the very clouds seemed to tremble, shuddering under the immense weight of their passage. From the vast, star-dusted darkness, alien scouts watched, their senses overwhelmed. A whisper rippled through their hive mind, a current of disbelief and burgeoning fear. These are not the humans we know. Something is profoundly wrong. The flagship, a vessel of impossible scale, began its transformation. Its colossal wings unfurled, stretching wide like a celestial predator. From its core, a blinding, brilliant light erupted, a spear of pure energy that sliced through the atmosphere, making the heavens themselves quake with its power. In a desperate, reflexive response, the alien fleet launched an attack. A volley of small, energetic beams shot towards the human ships, but they were utterly useless. The beams glanced off the hulls, dissipating like raindrops on a mountainside, achieving absolutely nothing. Down on the surface of Earth, humanity watched, transfixed. Billions of people stared up at their screens, at the sky, united in a moment of silent, breathless awe. No one in history had ever witnessed such a display of raw, untamed power. This was something new, something that defied all known physics and all previous limitations. Yet, inside the human ships, an unnerving calm prevailed. The crews were steady, their faces set with determination, not fear. They were one with their machines. These incredible vessels were not just piloted, they were commanded by thought, extensions of human will, powered by an unyielding courage that had been forged through centuries of struggle and survival. The ships moved and acted as extensions of their very minds. The aliens, baffled and intrigued, crept closer, their curiosity wrestling with a primal, instinctual fear. They had to understand what they were facing. Then, the flagship spoke. Its voice was not sound, but a vibration that resonated through space itself, deep, echoing, and absolute. "Leave Earth, or face the sky." As the final word echoed into the void, a silent wind of pure light rushed out from the ship, a wave of energy that washed over the alien fleet. It wasn't destructive, not yet. It was a feeling, a sensation of absolute, crushing dominance. The aliens had known conflict, they had known conquest, but they had never, ever felt fear like this. It was a terror that seeped into their very being, a realization that they were standing before a force beyond their comprehension. They didn't hesitate, they didn't consider a counterattack. They simply retreated, turning their fleet and fleeing into the darkness with a speed they had never before employed. On the bridges of the human ships, quiet smiles broke the tension. A profound truth had been revealed to the world, to the galaxy, for the very first time. The sky, the final frontier, did not belong to the invaders. It did not belong to ancient starfaring empires. It belonged to humanity now. The silent awe on Earth turned to a roar of celebration, a global cry of victory and rebirth. A new era had dawned, and this story was just beginning. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this glimpse into a new future, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. The day the aliens returned, the sky went dark. Not the comforting dark of night, but a cold, metallic darkness that blotted out the sun. Thousands of ships descended, a fleet of obsidian blades hanging in our atmosphere. They were sharp, menacing, and impossibly fast. On the ground, something strange happened. There was no widespread panic, no screams echoing through the streets. Instead, a quiet, collective breath was held across the globe. Then, from the heavens, our own guardians appeared. The sky ships. They weren't born of metal and circuits, but of something more profound, something ancient. They materialized like ghosts in the daytime, hovering silently, their forms glowing with a light that outshone the midday sun. A low, resonant hum began to fill the air, a vibration that felt less like sound and more like the very heartbeat of the earth, steady and strong. It was a frequency of pure, unyielding resolve. The alien fleet didn't wait for introductions. They unleashed hell. A storm of lasers, plasma bolts, and missiles rained down upon the planet. It was a terrifying spectacle of destructive power, a light show meant to signal the end of our world. But the sky ships moved with an ethereal grace, like shadows dancing in the fire. They weaved and phased, their luminous forms shifting in and out of reality. The alien barrage passed through them, striking nothing, harming no one. Below, not a single human life was lost. The ground didn't even tremble. It was as if the attack was a mere illusion. From the bridge of the largest alien vessel, a voice boomed across the planet, a synthetic, commanding tone, amplified to shake countenance. "Earth is ours. You are a primitive species. Your resistance is futile. Leave this world now, or be eradicated." The voice was filled with the arrogance of a conqueror who had never known defeat. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They got neither. Instead, a profound silence answered them. The hum of the sky ships intensified, the light they emitted pulsing with a newfound brilliance. The aliens hesitated. Their sensors, which had catalogued countless worlds and species, were returning impossible readings. They were detecting a power that defied their understanding of physics, of life itself. It wasn't technology. It was something primal, something alive. They had never encountered courage like this, a silent defiance that spoke louder than any threat. They had never felt a power so pure, so absolute. Then, it happened. The sky ships, which had been defensive and serene, moved. They didn't just move. They became streaks of pure light. Faster than thought, faster than light itself. They shot forward. They didn't fire a single weapon. They simply passed through the alien fleet. For a brief, terrifying moment, the alien armada was bathed in that brilliant, impossible light. And then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. Not destroyed, not scattered, simply gone, vanished from space-time as if they had never existed. Silence returned to the earth. The sun shone once more. The sky ships floated serenely above, their glow softening to a gentle, protective aura. And then, the cheer started. It began as a single voice, then 1,000, then millions, until a wave of joyous celebration swept across the entire planet. It was a cry of relief, of victory, of profound realization. On that day, the world finally understood the truth we had long forgotten. Humanity is not defined by its fragility or its technology. We are not just dwellers on a small blue planet. We are the children of the storm in the sky. We are the inheritors of an ancient power. We are, and always have been, unstoppable. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. Until next time, stay curious. For as long as anyone could remember, they were there. The skyships, there every single day. The world would look up, and there they'd be. Silent sentinels floating above our cities, our mountains, our vast, rolling oceans. They were everywhere. The initial shock, the fear, the endless questions, all that had faded into a new kind of normal. They were no longer a secret, no longer an enigma to be feared, but a part of our daily landscape, a part of us. We began to study them, not with weapons and aggression, but with curiosity and an open mind. Our brightest minds dedicated their lives to understanding these silent giants. We learned their language, which wasn't spoken in words but in movement, in light, in subtle shifts of energy. We learned how to move with the ships, our own technologies adapting, evolving, synchronizing with their silent dance. We learned how to think with them, our collective consciousness expanding, connecting to something far greater than ourselves. The sky, once just an empty expanse of blue, became our domain. It was no longer a ceiling, but a kingdom, our kingdom. And while we were looking up, others were looking down. Far across the cold, dark void of space, in gleaming halls on distant worlds, alien leaders gathered. They argued, their voices a cacophony of confusion and disbelief. How can the humans be so strong? One would demand. They are a young species, technologically primitive. Another would cry. They couldn't understand it. They had conquered galaxies, subjugated species 1,000 times more advanced. They had never, in all their eons, encountered a species like this. A species that didn't cower, but embraced the unknown. A species that didn't fight with force, but with an unyielding spirit. Then came the day. A morning like any other, until it wasn't. All at once, across the globe, the skyships began to ascend. They rose higher than ever before, climbing past the clouds, past the violent fury of the storms, rising until they were silver slivers against the black, almost touching the distant stars. They formed a perfect, shimmering net around our world. They circled the planet once, then twice, and with each rotation, a wave of profound peace washed over the earth. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a fact, a tangible shield of absolute certainty. The earth felt protected. In that moment, every single person knew, deep in their bones, that no one would dare attack. No one could. The alien fleets, poised at the edge of our system, saw it all. They saw the synchronized ballet, the impossible grace, the sheer, unspoken power. And they understood. The skyships weren't just machines. They were alive, and they weren't alien. They were human. They were the physical manifestation of our collective will, our courage, our boundless potential. Down on the surface, a child stood in a field, her face tilted towards the heavens. She saw the glittering shield, felt its warmth, and she smiled. And in that instant, it felt as if the entire world smiled with her. We had sent a message to the galaxy, a message clearer than any broadcast, more powerful than any weapon. Courage matters more than power. Unity matters more than technology. And hope is the most formidable force in the universe. The message was received. The sky belongs to humans. The stars, once distant and cold, now feel like home. And the galaxy will never, ever forget the day humanity claimed them. The galaxy watched in silence, holding its collective breath. On every alien world, from the crystalline spires of Xylos to the gas giants of Orcularia, they knew something had profoundly changed. The nascent species from that small, blue world, the humans, had finally done it. They sent their skyships beyond the cradle of Earth. These weren't clumsy rockets or sputtering probes. They were vessels of light and purpose. They flew past their familiar moon, a silent, pockmarked guardian. They navigated the treacherous dance of the asteroid belts with an elegance that defied physics. They pushed past the known markers, past the established limits of charted space, venturing into the great, silent unknown. And then, the void answered. An alien armada appeared, as if conjured from a nightmare. It wasn't a fleet. It was a plague of ships, millions of them. They blotted out stars, their hulls as black as a singularity, their designs sharp and angular, like crystallized fear. They were an overwhelming statement of dominance, a final word in any conflict before it even began. But the humans, they did not hesitate. There was no panic, no frantic scramble for retreat. Instead, their skyships began to glow. A soft hum escalated into a roar that echoed across the vacuum. The light intensified, growing brighter than 1,000 supernovae, a defiant dawn in the face of absolute darkness. Their engines thundered, a symphony of power that vibrated across the stars, announcing that humanity had arrived, and they would not be cowed. The aliens, confident in their numbers, attacked. Beams of pure energy, of destructive light, lanced through the darkness, seeking to extinguish the human fleet. Explosions blossomed like lethal flowers, lighting up entire galaxies for a fleeting, beautiful, terrifying moment. The silent vacuum became a canvas of chaos and fire. But the human skyships moved as one. They were a single organism, a perfectly choreographed dance of defense and defiance. Every ship, every pilot, every system was linked, moving with a precision that was both terrifying and beautiful. They were a wall of light, strong, unbreakable, unstoppable. The alien barrage, which could have shattered planets, splashed harmlessly against their unified shields. Then, from the heart of the human formation, the largest ship, a vessel that dwarfed even the most colossal alien dreadnoughts, began to rise. It ascended above the fray, a beacon of pure, unyielding resolve. Its voice, not of sound, but of pure will and energy, echoed across the galaxy, reaching every mind, every ship, every world. It was a simple, chilling message. Leave our humans, leave our Earth, or face the storm. And in that moment, the aliens saw it. It wasn't just technology they were facing. It was something more. It was the unshakable courage of a species that had clawed its way to the stars. It was the unbreakable unity of a people standing together against oblivion. It was a power not born of weapons, but of spirit. They had conquered galaxies, subjugated civilizations, but they had never, ever faced a species like this. The cost of this fight wouldn't just be ships. It would be their very concept of superiority. The fight was over before it truly began. They could not win against such resolve. One by one, the black, sharp ships turned. The retreat was slow at first, then became a torrent. From every corner of the battlefield, from the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the armada vanished, melting back into the void from which it came. The humans returned to Earth. Their skyships, now glowing a peaceful white and brilliant blue, circled the planet like a constellation of guardian angels. And from the surface below, a cheer arose. A single, global voice of triumph, louder than any engine, more powerful than any weapon. On that day, humanity had sent a message to the cosmos, a truth that would echo through eternity. No one can challenge the sky, and no one can challenge humans. For centuries, we gazed at the stars and wondered, are we alone? We sent out probes, listened for whispers in the cosmic static, and dreamed of the day we would meet another intelligent life form. We imagined friendship. We feared invasion. The reality, when it finally arrived, was something no one could have predicted. One morning, the world awoke to find them hanging in the sky, silent, colossal ships, blotting out the sun in cities across the globe. They were impossibly large, impossibly advanced, and utterly terrifying. Panic gripped the planet. Armies mobilized. World leaders held emergency summits. For days, the world held its collective breath, waiting for the inevitable attack. The flash of light that would signal our end. But it never came. The ships just floated there, peacefully, like celestial mountains that had drifted down from heaven. No one attacked, because no one dared. The sheer scale of their power was a weapon in itself, a silent declaration of dominance that needed no words. And slowly, fear gave way to a strange kind of awe, then acceptance, and finally, a new reality. Humans looked up every day, no longer with dread, but with a kind of resigned curiosity. Children, in their innocent wisdom, were the first to adapt. They started waving at the glowing giants, incorporating them into their drawings and their games. Scientists, recovering from their initial shock, turned their instruments towards the heavens with a renewed fervor. This wasn't a distant quasar or a faint exoplanet. This was the greatest scientific discovery in history, hovering just miles above their heads. They studied the energy signatures, the impossible materials, the gravitational fields that held these behemoths aloft. Soldiers, who had been prepared for a war of extinction, found themselves in a new kind of training. They learned to coordinate with the silent observers, running drills under their watchful gaze. Leaders, who had been on the verge of global conflict, now made plans with them. The ships became a new constant, a new factor in every geopolitical equation. Humanity, for the first time in its history, was unified, not by a common enemy, but by a common, overwhelming power. Across the galaxy, the whispers began to spread. Faint at first, carried on subspace channels and through diplomatic backrooms, but they grew louder, more insistent. Have you heard about the new species? The one on the small blue planet? The stories were embellished, of course. They spoke of a species that had faced down the silent fleet without firing a shot. A species of such latent power that the galaxy's oldest empires dared not provoke them. The name human became a byword for quiet strength. The whispers said, humans, the strongest species ever. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. Perception became reality. Planets that had been sworn enemies for millennia suddenly reconsidered their alliances. Systems on the verge of war found peaceful resolutions. No one wanted to be on the wrong side of history. And it seemed history was now being written on Earth. Aliens who had once viewed our corner of the galaxy as a primitive backwater began to learn a new word, respect. And some, the braver ones, the more curious ones, even wanted to be friends. They sent tentative signals, simple greetings, offers of trade and cultural exchange. The humans, on the ground, just smiled quietly. They knew, they understood that true power wasn't just about the ability to destroy. It was about the strength to protect, the wisdom to build, the courage to show the galaxy that there was another way. One night, it happened. The skyships, which had been a constant, steady presence, began to shine brighter than ever before. Their surfaces, once dark and inscrutable, pulsed with a soft, warm light. A low, gentle hum filled the air, not through sound waves, but as a vibration felt in the very soul of every living being on the planet. It wasn't a threat. It was a message, an invitation, as clear and simple as a sunrise. It seemed to say, humans are ready, the stars are waiting, and the adventure is just beginning. In that moment, the world held its breath, and across the galaxy, countless other worlds held their breath too. Humanity had claimed the sky, not through conquest, but through character, and the universe would never ever forget our name. Far beyond the familiar blue marble we call Earth, a shadow fell across the cosmos. A new fleet emerged from the void, strange ships shimmering with an otherworldly glow. They moved faster than light, their forms more advanced, their power stronger than anything humanity had ever witnessed. From the surface of our planet, billions of eyes watched. Our own skyships, guardians of our home, hovered silently above the atmosphere. There was no panic, no chaos, no fear. We never panicked. The aliens, these newcomers to our solar system, sent a message. It wasn't a greeting or a threat, but a challenge, broadcast on every channel, in every language. You have power, it said, but can you defend it? We humans didn't waste time with words. Our response came in action. In perfect unison, our skyships began to rise, ascending from their orbits like a flock of celestial birds. They moved together, forming intricate patterns that shone like newly born constellations against the black canvas of space. Their engines hummed, a single, resonant frequency, like a million hearts beating as one, a symphony of defiance. Then, the attack came. The new fleet unleashed its fury. Blinding lasers and swarms of missiles streaked through the darkness, lighting up the void between worlds. But our skyships were a marvel of coordination. They danced through the onslaught, a fluid, unified defense. Every alien attack was met and blocked. Every hostile strike was answered with precision and purpose. Our strategy was elegantly simple, honed over generations of watching the stars. Protect Earth at all costs, surprise the enemy with the unexpected, and above all, show unwavering courage. On the bridge of their flagship, the alien commanders watched in stunned disbelief. They had conquered star systems, brought empires to their knees, but they had never encountered anything like this. They had never seen such flawless unity, such profound intelligence woven into battle tactics, such absolute fearlessness in the face of overwhelming odds. It was a ballet of defense, a testament to a species that had faced its own demons, and emerged stronger, united not by a single leader, but by a shared will to survive. Our ships moved as one mind, one body, protecting the cradle of our existence. Finally, when the alien assault faltered, we sent our reply. It wasn't a missile or a laser. It was a single, powerful signaler wave of pure light that pulsed outward from Earth, stretching across the galaxy, a beacon of our spirit. The message needed no translation. It was clear and undeniable. Earth is ours. Humanity is ready for anything. And the stars belong to us now. A profound silence fell over the battlefield. The new fleet, once so menacing, so confident, paused. Then, slowly, cautiously, they began to retreat, their powerful engines now a whisper. They turned and vanished back into the deep, not daring to challenge the quiet, unshakable strength of Earth. We watched them go, not with triumph, but with the calm resolve of a people who know their place in the universe. We are humanity, and we are here to stay. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the cosmos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the great unknown. For millennia, the cosmos spun in a predictable rhythm of stellar births and silent deaths. Empires rose and fell, their echoes lost in the vacuum of space. But then, a new light appeared, a beacon so brilliant it outshone entire planets. It was humanity. The galaxy had never seen anything like this. Humans, a species from a small blue world, now ruled the skies. Their skyships, magnificent vessels of light and power, became the new constellations in the galactic firmament. Every world, from the gas giants of the outer rim to the crystalline moons of the core, knew one simple truth: Earth was protected. Humanity didn't need to boast or issue grand proclamations. Their presence was enough. Their power, a quiet, unshakable force, spoke volumes. It wasn't a power of conquest, but of protection. Their courage didn't inspire fear, but admiration. Soon, alien species didn't arrive in warships, but in diplomatic shuttles. They came to learn, not to fight. They sought to understand the spirit that drove these humans, the ingenuity that built their incredible skyships. New alliances were forged, not in the crucible of war, but in the shared pursuit of knowledge and prosperity. The galaxy began to change, slowly at first, then all at once. Peaceful planets, once living in the shadow of predatory empires, flourished under the watchful gaze of the human fleet. Worlds known for their aggression and brutality paused, re-evaluating their ambitions. The cost of conflict had suddenly become too high. Above the cradle of humanity, the skyships hovered in silent vigil. They were more than just machines, more than alloys and energy core. They were extensions of the human will, imbued with a life of their own. Each ship was a testament to the species that created it, a guardian born of courage, intelligence, and an unbreakable sense of unity. They were the silent promise that no harm would ever befall their home world. On a quiet night on Earth, a child stood in a field, her small face turned up towards the star-dusted heavens. She saw the familiar constellations, but she also saw the gentle, pulsating lights of the fleet in orbit. A sense of wonder and destiny filled her heart. In a soft whisper carried on the night breeze, she spoke to the universe. Humans will go beyond the sky, beyond the stars. As if in reply, the skyships hummed a low, resonant tone. A soft, ethereal light emanated from the fleet, spreading like a gentle wave across the cosmos, a message visible to all who watched. The message was clear, a universal declaration of intent. Humanity was here to stay. And this was only the beginning. The ancient stars waited. The sprawling galaxy watched with bated breath. The legend of the humans and their skyships had just begun, and the universe would never be the same again. What do you think will happen next in this new galactic era? What challenges will humanity face as they continue to explore the unknown? Share your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the future, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories from beyond the stars. Thanks for watching.